the issue of personality and the institutional infrastructure is not a problem. Then in your own view, what do you think brings these conflicts as the state currently as it is? Why are we having problems? Because from your presentation, or the way you have answered is like the personality issue and the infrastructure is okay.
What I think causes the problem is you have a situation, and again, allow me to refer back to the experience I had at CIC. Remember, CIC was the commission was created by a process which involved the two disparate political groups that had formed the coalition government. If we are to be honest with ourselves, what that meant is that people came there probably from the perspective of a political you know, I have come here by virtue of political coalition X, and I have come here by virtue of political coalition Y. So, from the onset, there was potential for distrust. There was potential for suspicion. So, I think there was a need, and I think we succeeded, for the commission to do what needed to do, whether it is bonding, whether it is spending time together, whether it is reassuring each other, whether it is trying to understand each other, whatever it is, so that when we had disagreements in the boardroom, and there were many, yeah, there were disagreements arising from issues that different members had different perspectives. And that way, at least for me as chair, it made my life easier. There are many times we fought very hard in the boardroom, but we arrived at a decision because of that goodwill. And then when we walked out of the boardroom, we presented a position that we all accepted. The challenge, therefore, is how do you overcome, and they're quite natural, the prejudices people have, the suspicions that people come with, and possibly people have different, I hope not, different agenda, but those are the challenges that you know, have to be overcome so that the commission, you don't have the kind of rupture that you had at Bomas in 2022.
Thanks. As a follow-up question to that, the work of the Secretariat being more of operational, but you realize that the commission is the one which owns up the results of the operations. How will you ensure that you own whatever activities, whatever mission, and whatever activities they do, that you are in charge and you own it? And then the last question, do you think the issue of procurement has any bearing towards the conflicts that happens in IEBC?
And I can honestly say I am not sure, but I have had that said. That's my honest answer. That sometimes there are interests other than the delivery of the mandate. There's a school of thought, for example, that when you had a commission which came in when other commissioners had been there, perhaps there was a feeling that when we were not here, what happened that we missed out on. I think that is the honest truth. But I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I can. But having sorry, what was the other than procurement?
You own the actions of the operations.
Yes. So. I think it's a matter of working relationships. And I go back to the whole question of what happened at Bomas in 2022, and we can't run away from it. I mean, it was the low point of the Electoral Commission. When you think about it, the actual physical verification that happens at the National Tallying Center is actually done by the Secretariat under the supervision of the Commission. So really, because it's done by the Secretariat and the supervision of the Commission, you would expect that you wouldn't have that kind of scenario, because the Secretariat, which has been doing the tallying under that supervision, and it's mathematical. We have verified. It may be laborious. It may take time, but it should be purely mathematical. Especially when we remember, it's just verification between from 34A that was transmitted and from 34A that arrived at Bomas. So, when the returning officer, take my constituency again as an example, when the returning officer from Nyachae constituency arrives with his 34B with the attachments of 34A, all that the Commission is required to do is to verify that what he has brought is consistent with what was uploaded and sent to the National Tallying Center. Because in the minor KI case and subsequently, the courts have said what was announced by the presiding officer at Kisii Primary School cannot even be changed by the chairman of the commission or chairperson of the commission. So, when you think about it, the tallying exercise should be an exercise really that is basically mathematical. Because once you tally that, what happened at Kisii Primary School with what was uploaded and sent to the National Tallying Center, multiply that by, is it 47,000 polling stations, it's purely mathematical. So, ideally, that problem that arose in Bomas shouldn't have arisen. I am persuaded that what happened in Bomas had more to do with the personality differences. I wouldn't want to guess what caused the personality differences or whatever, but it had less to do with that mathematical process that is the tallying at Bomas.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Chair. How about you?
I'd like to ask Madam Fatuma to bring in her interventions, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Nyachae, you okay with that? Okay.
As I said, they're all my names.
Right.
You had Mr. Mr. call me Charles. I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. In the next election, the youth are going to be the highest percentage. However, they face barriers like disillusionment, apathy. So if you become chair, how would you meaningfully engage them in the electoral processes so that they're able to take care of their political and civil rights?
I think that the answer to that is at several levels. At the most intimate level, of course, if the commission is in place and, for example, starts continuous registration of voters, the chances are that the 500,000 or so people who are going to be employed to do that are going to be young people. That's at one level where they will feel engaged. But in terms of the process itself, because IEBC is required to deliver on a credible election, and that is reflected in both its vision and its mission. Then, if you take the cycle, the electoral cycle, the young people will want to be part of the process right from the stage of registration of them now being forget about them working for IEBC to register voters, but them now making it easy for them to register. This requires voter education, because in the process of voter education, all stakeholders, including IEBC, must dispel from the notion, from young people and Kenyans generally, the notion that the election is about other people, not about them. And I think the Commission, through voter education, can go a long way in making them feel part of the process. It is not the Commission's responsibility, for example, to deal with identity cards, but the Commission, as an entity that deals with elections, if I was chair, I would be talking to the executive about how we can help young people to be to have IDs. And there are many challenges. There are many challenges. Some of them on day one, whoever goes to that commission, and they're going to involve young people. Take the by-elections, for example, that are pending. If you take a constituency like Banisa, I think 2 years they have not had representation. In those 2 years, there must be a lot of young people who have come of age, maybe have IDs, and they want to vote. The law requires that you stop registration of voters. Is it 60 days? 60 days before the date of the by-election. So, in where there is an urgency in having that by-election, these young people are going to feel disenfranchised. That's just one example. Now, at a national level, there is an obligation on all stakeholders to ensure, right from them being enabled to get identity cards, which, as I say, is not part of IEBC's mandate, so they get identity cards. IEBC must facilitate them to register as voters. And very importantly, in terms of civic education, and voter education, and the wider civic education anyway, which as a country maybe we haven't done very well, there is a need for all of us to work together to ensure that the youth in this country feel that they matter. That is stakeholder engagement.
So would So would you think of, I like the part you talked about the obligation of creating awareness on obligations of stakeholders. So would there be specific programs targeting the youth on this?
Yes, I would, after receiving advice on how we could do this, and especially what are the financial implications, if I was chair, I would put a high premium on inclusivity for young people, so that they feel this process, they are part of it, they are an integral part of it. As you said when you were asking the question, they even are the larger percentage of the people that citizens that are eligible to vote. So I would look to the National Treasury to specifically provide funds to enhance, especially voter education, and in that particular section of stakeholders, and engage them as widely as we can in that, and continuously in that period before the elections, and continue. I think, looking at the wider issue, I think one of the challenges IEBC seems to have is that, especially in terms of funding, the focus only seems to be as you approach elections. And yet things like voter education, registration and so on and so forth are things really which should be completely around the electoral cycle. And I would want, if I was chair, I would want, as a matter of policy, to engage commissioners so that we collectively engage those who provide funding, so that there is a specific target of young people.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd like to ask Mr. Bore Nicodemus. I'll ask you.
Thank you, Chairman, and